Are you tired of hot plates coming out of the microwave? In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a bowl cozy. It's cute and practical. It goes right into the microwave, and then it is a built-in pot holder, so you just lift and you can take it right to the table. My name is Tara Reed. I am an artist and fabric designer with Riley Blake, and I am back with another fun sewing tutorial for you. Make sure you have hit the subscribe button so you don't miss one. Let's get onto it and have some fun with needle and thread. Hi everyone, today we are going to make bowl cozies with the bowl cozy template set from Creative Grids. My husband thinks I have a cozy problem because I'm making cozies for everything from my iPad to my bowls, etc. And you may have seen one of my other videos, it's been my most popular, where I teach you how to make a smaller bowl cozy that has squared off corners that fits a smaller bowl. That works great, but it requires measuring and things like that. And so I am absolutely in love with these templates that they were nice enough to give me to try. So this is the large bowl completed, which I made with this template. Tells you exactly what to cut and how to do it. Well, all the how to do it's are on the back, so do not throw away the cardboard if you buy this kit. We are going to make the smaller size. But first I'm going to tell you we have done this a little bit before because you can also buy pre-cut batting, and there will be links below to Amazon for where you can get these. So these are the two exact sizes that we're getting. You can get it pre-cut, just sew your fabric on. But I love the idea of having a template so that whenever I want to whip these up, I can, and I don't have to wait to get these pre-cut. And really, it doesn't take long to cut with these templates. One of the most important things to remember is everything has to be cotton because these are really designed to go into the microwave. 100% cotton fabric, 100% cotton batting. I'm going to be using the cotton batting also from the Gypsy Quilter. And I use a lot of Gutermann, I hope I'm saying that right, thread because it's so easy to find. What you need to know is you can't use the white spool, you got to use the yellow. It's the yellow spools, and it'll say right on here 100% cotton. That is what you need to use. This has a little bit of polyester in it. I was so tempted because I thought, oh, purple on there is going to look so pretty, but I didn't have it in cotton, so I didn't do it. I went with a gold that kind of followed the lemons and the pears, and I love how it came out. A little bit of an accent. So make sure you're very diligent about that because we don't want any fires. So right on here it tells you 11-inch cotton fabric squares, cut 2, and 2 cotton batting squares, 11 inches. So we're going to do that first. And this batting is 18 inches wide, so I will have to cut the sides as well. That'll just be extra for another project. All right, so we have our 2 pieces of batting. Now we're going to get 2 pieces of fabric. And I'm going to be using, this is one of my designs. It is the Fruit by Riley Blake Designs. It's part of my 11-month placemat program. So it's the Fruit for August. And it comes in the green, this purple, and also this yellow. So if I was making a few of these, I would probably do a different color on each side because they are reversible. You could flip it and have the other side. I do that a lot. But since I'm just doing one, I'm just going to make it the same on both sides because that way it's going to be faster. I can just cut 11 inches. Turn that. I'm going to cut the selvage off. And I like to keep the selvages to do other things with. So I always leave about 1 inch of the fabric before the edge of the selvage. And I have a little bin of those, but that's for another day. We'll sew with selvages. And I instantly have 2 because this was folded in half. That's extra. Now the magic starts. You're just going to fold it in half. And it doesn't matter if you do it right sides together or wrong sides together. It's prettier for you to watch in a video this way, so I'm doing it this way. And fold it in half again. Then you take your grid and you see it says folded edge, folded edge. You line that up with this corner. This is really important. Make sure you have a new blade or a very sharp blade because you're going through 4 layers of fabric, and it gets even more important when you're going through 4 layers of batting. See how quickly and beautifully that cut. And the grip on these templates is awesome. I mean, this is not moving on my fabric at all. So I'm going to get a really nice, consistent cut and shape for these. Then we're going to do the same thing with the batting. I mean, how fast and easy is that? Now we need to layer these into 2 sets. So you can either put this down and put this on top with the right side up, but I find it easier to layer when I put my fabric face down and then add this to the top. It kind of clings to it. So I'm making sure that these points are lined up, and then I'm just moving the batting if needed so that it is lined up with the curves and these lines. At this point, I just put 4 little pins just to make sure it stays where I put it. So now these are both done, 2 sets, and now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to quilt it. Now we're going to do the quilting. I like to do the batting side up because it gets a little bit less fuzz inside your machine, which, that's always a good thing. And I am using a walking foot. So let's just get this quilted. Now instead of knotting right here, I'm just going to lift it and I'm going to sew, basically in a curve to each point to make a circle. So now I just need to do the same thing on the other half. Now that both are quilted, we're going to sew the darts, which they make so easy. We're just going to match these 2 right sides together, and we're going to sew. So 4 on each, 8 in total, with a 1/4 inch seam. Now we're going to turn one inside out, and we're going to match these up right sides together. And I always start by matching the bottom of the dart right there with there. See how I lined that up? Those stitch lines lined up. And then I like to use fabric clips. So I do the 4 darts first. And then if you get these bottoms lined up and the edges lined up well, then this should just be perfectly lined up. But I do always add a clip just to make sure it doesn't move, twist or something while you're sewing. And now we're going to sew all the way around, leaving part of the straight edge, so right before this dart, like from here to here, open for turning. And you definitely want to double back on your stitching because there's going to be a bit of pressure on that stitching on both sides to get all of this fabric and batting through a relatively small hole. So I like to start right on the stitch, on the dart stitching. I'm going to go forward a little, back, and then forward. So you're going to stitch all the way around with a 1/4 inch seam. Now when you get to these darts, do not use your fingers to hold anything down. And you want to stop right on that stitch line, lift your foot, and pivot. So kind of when you're sewing this, look at it as 4 sections, the 4 curved sections, and you're going to pivot your needle at each dart point. Okay, so I'm going to leave that. Now I'm going to double back. Oh, I reinforced both sides. Now we need to clip the curves without clipping your stitching. I find it's easier on my hand to do it from the end and just be careful how far I close my scissors than to go like this. But do whatever you feel most comfortable with where you won't clip your stitching. We need to do this so that when we turn it right side out, you're going to still have that nice curved line. And then I usually do a little clip on each side of that dart. You don't want to clip where it's open because we're going to need to turn and press that and sew that closed. So you want to keep that. Now, if some of this seems a little bit big, you can trim this down a little bit to decrease the bulk on these curves. And I usually do it after I do the clipping because when you have a little bit more fabric, it's easier to gauge and not clip your stitch marks. Now we are going to turn this right side out. Now here's my trick. When I turn things right side out, especially if you have a lot going through a pretty small space, you want to start by just getting right next to that stitching, and especially on this side, get this flipped down. If you have both of these flipped down like this, there's going to be a lot less pressure and you're going to be less likely to rip those stitches out. If you have arthritis, this can be a little hard on your hands. So you might want to enlist other family members to help with this. Now I just have to get these edges pushed out. And because they're curves, they're pretty easy. I just run my finger along the curve. You could use a turning tool if you want to, but since it's not a point, I have not found that I need it. All right, we're getting close. Now we're going to take this and we're going to iron it and make sure all of these edges are out. We're going to get this part tucked under and ironed beautifully so that you'll have no idea where it was. And the trick to that is to make sure you have the batting and the fabric lined up and then flip it, and that your batting isn't like shoved in here and you're flipping this, because then you're going to have a weird bulky spot and a weird loose spot. So you want to do this. Flip it over, make sure the batting and the fabric are together, turn that under, and we will perfect that when we get to the ironing board. But for now, I will just clip it so it's got a good start. So let's go head to the iron. Now, just like I said when you were sewing, to look at this as 4 little quadrants and pivot your needle on each point, we're going to iron it that way as well. So you're going to make sure that this is pulled out all the way to the stitching. So you have a nice curve. We're going to lay that flat. So you'll see it's flat in that pie section. And then we're just going to press. And I'm going to do the 3 quadrants that are completely sewn before I do the part where we had the opening for turning. Now we're to the last one where it had been open for turning. So we're going to make sure we get that so that when we top stitch, we're going to catch the fabric and the lining. We're getting as good of a curve in there still as we can. We're in the home stretch. Now we just need to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the edge to catch, mostly to catch the opening, and also just to get this nice and in place. It kind of acts as another layer of quilting. This is going to look so cute for summer. I usually start on a straightaway. Now, I also recommend that you use a new needle when doing these projects because this is pretty thick. This is going through 4 layers of batting and 4 layers of fabric when you're top stitching, and it's especially thick on these darts. So just move really slowly and you'll be able to hear how much thicker it is at the darts. Stop when you get to the dart, lift your foot and pivot. If you're going to break your needle, it's going to be there. And if you go slow, you're less likely to. But if you do, don't worry, you're in good company because I think everyone that has made projects like these has broken at least 1 needle. And that's it. We have a bowl cozy. So what would you put in these bowls? I'm thinking with the fun summer fruit, I would probably use them for something cold. This would be great for a salad, for a picnic or a barbecue, or maybe a fruit salad. That would be great for, again, fruit or maybe even ice cream. Of course, you can put the hot things in them too, put them in the microwave, and they're good to go. So drop a comment below and let me know what you think you will be doing with these.